had a really bad time writing my PhD thesis and preparing for my defense. So if you do too, then maybe my experience can help you and maybe you can learn something. So watch until the end of the video. It's been now about half a year since I have defended my PhD, but I have been moving, starting a new job, so everything is taking a little bit longer. So I apologize that this video has been taking so long. Also, subscribe, like this video, yada yada yada. Let's get into the content. If you're a little bit like me, then you're going to struggle a lot with perfectionism. And it really has helped me to face it that your first draft is going to be bad. Sometimes you start to edit tiny sentences and tiny differences in sentence structure will get you stuck. So one thing that I did whenever I realized I get into this perfectionist mode, I switched into white font so that I couldn't read anymore what I was writing. And this has helped me a lot to just get ideas onto paper and then to edit them in a later step. Then the thing that every PhD fears, procrastination. It is going to happen, so don't make it your goal not to procrastinate. If you're doing this, you're setting yourself up for failure. And before I forget, and before I get into how I overcame procrastination, put your advice on how to write a good thesis into the comments, because I'm sure you have a lot more good advice than I do. So let's help each other out. And I'm really, really curious about what you say. So I hear more and more people say that, and I believe it is true, that procrastination is a sign that you're overwhelmed, not necessarily a sign that you're lazy. And for me, this was 100% true. I'm in the lab right now and I wasn't as productive as I wanted to. I just feel that it's just really difficult to motivate myself to write and to do experiments. And for instance, this is an experiment that I could have done the entire week, but I'm doing it Sunday at 6:42 p.m. And yeah, I'm procrastinating a lot, which is really bad. And at the same time, I don't think the solution is to just procrastinate less, because it's just such an easy thing to say to someone. And I mean, everyone who procrastinates know that this is not the right thing to do. So I think there is some sort of underlying issue. I haven't figured out yet what the issue is. So it is worth it if you check in with yourself and figure out what is it that I'm feeling overwhelmed about. And very often it is not the thesis writing. Again, for me, the intellectual process of writing the thesis was the least of my problems. For me, the thing that made me feel overwhelmed was the feeling that my thesis is really bad. I won't get too much into the details, but in a nutshell, 2 weeks before the first lockdown, I realized that the cell line in which I got the most significant results was contaminated with another cell line. The cell line must have been contaminated from beginning on, which meant that I had to throw away a majority of my data. Then another thing that you might want to know about me, I like to take challenges, and back at the time when I was still proud of my data, I thought it is a good idea to ask the head of the dermatology department in Harvard to be part of my thesis committee. And then during my thesis, I kept thinking, oh my gosh, this guy is going to rip my thesis apart. Yeah, by the way, he didn't say anything of this. He was incredibly nice, incredibly sweet. This was a thing that was only in my head. Part of it is that I am not a huge fan of my data, to be honest. I guess nobody really likes their data during writing, so I don't like to look at them. And I see all of the problems within my thesis. And I think this is the main reason why I don't want to write about it, because I kind of want to tear it apart a little bit. Yes, so let's see how I'm going to solve it. Right now, I am realizing that I need to recharge more, and I need to remove more things that are making me unhappy and stressed. So if you are also finding yourself at a point where you feel ashamed of your data and might even feel so ashamed that you don't want to show the final results to anyone, let alone your committee, then maybe also consider that this is a problem that might only be in your head. I know it's a very easy thing to say, but you are a smart person. So likely you are making very, very eloquent points, and it might be that even though the points that you are making in your head about why your data are not good enough do sound very smart and very eloquent, they might still not be true. And not believing every thought we think, especially every negative thought that we think, is a thing that is so difficult for PhDs, but it is so, so important. So there were two things that have really helped me to overcome this kind of imposter syndrome. The first thing was to write things down, and to write down the most shameful thoughts. And my most shameful thoughts were something between my committee being upset with me that I'm even wasting their time by showing them such bad data, and them thinking, wow, that was her best. She must not be very good. And none of those things were true. I had an incredibly kind committee, which once again emphasizes that it was only in my head. From beginning on, in my whole PhD experience, I was only surrounded by super nice people. Yes, not believing every thought that I'm thinking, and particularly every negative thought that I'm thinking, was such a huge learning for me during my PhD. So yes, write down all of those shameful thoughts and don't hold back. And then in the next step, if you dare, tell a friend, tell a loved one, tell someone who you trust. And then they will certainly make very, very strong points and tell you why those thoughts are really not true and why there is no reason to believe it. And for me, I actually talked to a therapist. And I mention this again because I don't think that there's any shame in therapy and that we should normalize therapy. And yeah, talking about those thoughts has really helped me. And if you want to know more about how I deal with imposter syndrome or how I dealt with it in the past, then watch this video. And I think it's a really, really good one. I will also link to this video by the end of this video. So I will also link to the imposter syndrome video right here at the end of this current video. And one really, really helpful habit was to leave the house every day. I did my PhD, or I wrote my thesis during the lockdown. So there wasn't much, going to work. No, actually, I could have gone to the lab, but I have decided for health reasons and also for concentration reasons to write at home. But still, it is very, very helpful to do like a fake commute. This is what I called it. So to get up every morning, go for a walk, come back, and somehow it really helped to leave my shoes on. I don't know why, but it really gets you into like the sort of working mode. And later, when I then listened to a podcast by Andrew Huberman, it turns out that this is like a super healthy habit. On the one hand, getting sunlight into your eyes early in the morning helps you to reset your circadian clock so that you have much better sleep. Actually, it is good to go for a walk in the morning and in the evening, so to have a fake commute in the morning and in the evening. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm meal prepping because I realized I need to eat healthy food in order for this whole writing thing to be sustainable, because I feel that I hate writing so much that I need to optimize everything. And I've just listened to a really, really nice podcast that I've also actually been linking on Twitter, which said that there are things that give you energy and things that take energy from you, which is probably obvious. If we want to do something and we cannot do it, we should consider whether it is one of those things that take energy from us. So for instance, for me, doing this, like vlogging, producing videos, and so on, is something that I've been neglecting because I felt I shouldn't invest that much time into it. But at the same time, I really enjoy doing it. So it is something that gives me energy. And it is something that then is going to help me do the writing because I have energy to draw from. Or being around friends is giving me energy. Or cooking is giving me energy. Yes, so maybe this is something, if you're stuck with writing, this is something that you could be paying attention to, whether or not there are other things that you could be investing in to kind of treat yourself a little bit more. Oh, another thing is that, you know, the overall theme that I'm noticing is that there's a thing that works for me on 1 week, or on 1 week I'm super productive, and then the next week I'm not productive at all. And every time where I think, okay, I figured it out, I get stuck again. Yeah, so I think the solution is not to have the illusion that there is one thing that is going to work only, but rather to take some time in the morning and figure out what is it that would make me the most productive. And then do that. And acknowledge that what is going to make me feel productive today is going to be completely different than what has made me feel productive yesterday. Let's see how this goes. I will keep you updated. And now mindset. This is some advice particularly to my past self. Too much complaining doesn't help. And I am very guilty of it. In the vlogs, I think you see me being positive most of the time, and this was in part because back then I thought I should portray a persona that has her life together all of the time, who is in charge of her career, etc., etc. So sometimes I was more positive outside than I really felt on the inside. Hi, this is Stephanie from The Edit. If you're wondering, why didn't I see any positive footage of her? It's because I lost it. So just imagine me walking through the woods saying, well, this is also nice, there's really no reason to be negative. And in part it was nice, but it was also me trying to put on a happy face when I really wasn't happy. So the footage that you are seeing where I'm not doing well is the reality. But just so that you know, there was footage. And if you're wondering, it is in some folder that I don't find anymore. This is also part of the game. Back to the video. But then you're also going to see sometime, I think it's going to be in part 2 of this video, where I really had a little breakdown. And I really started to indulge in those negative feelings. So I'm not telling you to put on a fake smiley face, but I think one thing that we can do all the time is to practice gratitude. So when I was being positive in the vlogs, this was like my own little gratitude journal. So if you are in the thesis writing process, I really recommend that you also practice gratitude, because it is not a nice thing to do. Well, thesis writing is not a nice thing to do, I think. And some positivity, as long as it is not toxic, fake positivity, is going to help you. But if I did one thing right, I really embraced those negative emotions when they were there. Because there are some other people who tend to not to want to face those negative emotions, and then instead they complain about the weather, they complain about the traffic, and they are on like this all-time low. And they never really have the chance to get to the bottom of why they are feeling bad, because they are never really daring to look at those emotions. And in part 2, you're going to see, well, I really looked at those emotions. And I think this is a conversation that we need to have. We need, a PhD cannot really be a prison. And this has given me the momentum to make some changes. I think I will end this video right here. The second part of the video is going to follow in 2 weeks, and I'm going to be talking about my lowest lows that I have teasered already quite a lot. And also I will be talking about, well, one horror story during my thesis that is actually quite funny, and also a few other pieces of advice. So be sure to also watch this video. Here is the imposter syndrome video that I was talking about, and YouTube also thinks you like this video. And with this, oh, follow me on Twitter as CareerConverser1 as always, and give this video a like, because those things really help me out, and subscribe. So wishing you a great day. Take good care of yourself. Bye.